I'm here today with Zach Nolte at Kitchen Solvers. Thanks for joining me today, Zach.
Yeah, thanks
Um,
for having me.
you guys have been working with us consistently since 2010, so pretty much as long as I've been working here, which is awesome. You've been a great
hmm
client throughout that entire time. And, through the process of doing the survey and asking and collecting feedback from your owners, we've been able to name Kitchen Solvers as one of our top franchises for 6 years.
hmm
And along with recent features such as like our top franchises for culture, our top low cost feature, and then the recent recession proof we just released and announced last month. So it's
hmm
great to see those type of call outs throughout the year for a great brand. And I kind of just want to kick it off with you on what does that mean to be an FBR award winner?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's just more or less a huge confirmation that the message that's in our core values and the message that's also in our mission statement is actually making an impact all the way through to our franchise partners. And so to continuously be being kind of awarded these different awards in all different categories, it just really means that we're doing something right and it's really resonating with our franchise partners.
From working with us and kind of going through that, what has the survey data or the details that we can provide to you change the way you do business, if it's changed it at all?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that it directly has like changed the philosophy of kind of how we've been managing our business. We take a very franchise first or franchise partner first kind of attitude, and so also again doing is kind of really allowing us to kind of reconfirm what we're doing from our and our goals, and being able to kind of make sure that it is a well-rounded kind of statement that resonates with our franchise partners and it engages that. And so we're able to then take something that's inherently difficult to measure from just satisfaction standpoint and apply some numbers to it, and then also then benchmark it across other brands that FBR has, and it allows us to then benchmark year to year. And from us being doing this from 2010, we have a lot of data that we can kind of go back and say, all right, these are the years that we made these big jumps, and we can then correlate it back to certain things that we've done those years and are able to capitalize and keep growing as a system.
It was that one of the big reasons to work with us, to choose working with us, was the benchmarking, or were there other factors that came into choosing to work with FBR?
Um, yeah, it's definitely along the benchmarking side of things, and it is difficult to get some of that feedback from your franchisees without having this type of survey in place. And so you can kind of base your franchise satisfaction off of sales, certain phone calls you have with the franchise partners, or just some franchise engagement. But you have those partners that may not be doing those initial things, like calling the home office every single day. They may be sitting back and like really reviewing some of the recordings, or they're not responding to some of the emails going out. And so trying to find a way that we can get that information in a very kind of not intrusive type of way, that's what the survey has really done for us, and be able to get that feedback back without having to kind of call everybody and say, hey, how's it going?
I think it also helps to know, because from the survey side of it, you have those that can be anonymous, but also those that choose to put
Mhm,
their name on it. That when you do make those phone calls, your conversations can be a little bit more directed as
for
well,
sure.
if it ties back to that survey feedback. So I think that's always great to
Yeah.
do that and engage in that way.
hmm
From using it operationally, what's been your experience when it comes to possibly using the data and the feedback when it with candidates, or with kind of helping to grow the system?
Yeah, so we don't use the FBR survey or the additional tools for advertising, but what we do is that we really tout those numbers at the end of the day. So if we're seeing certain categories that that rank very high, we actually portray those in all of our franchise development efforts, and we kind of incorporate into this whole holistic type of approach where they see that we have franchise satisfaction is then kind of re I guess heard through all the validation that the franchisees are doing with our current franchises. And it's just kind of showcased in a way that they keep seeing these numbers, and then they also are validating those numbers through a lot of those calls. And so we have it on our one pagers for sell sheets. It's on our websites. It's in all of our webinars. We're showcasing a lot of those different categories in that score. And so we use it over and over again in all facets of our business, really.
I think that helps tie into the next question I have is just a lot of franchisors talk about using the data with their strategic planning. How
Mhm.
do you guys take that and help drive your strategic plans and
Yeah.
also share it with your team internally?
Yeah, well, from our when we get that data back, I give everybody instant access to it, and so that we're all reviewing data right when we get it. And so we spend the next week or two really reviewing it, digging in deep, reading all the responses in the survey, and then we have then a team meeting internally to discuss some of the things. Mostly just really focus on the pros, but then also taking a look at some of the things that we could do better. And those then are kind of established as our next year's goals or drivers. And so we normally do the survey in about end of August or September. Then we have our convention or our annual conference that we have with all our franchise partners in that following January. And we bring to table all the results that we have found. Then we also kind of put together initiatives so that the franchise partners can see an action that's being taken upon some of their responses, and we showcase that for everybody to see, and so that they can see that a lot of what they're doing in this survey, that something's being done about it. And so if it is something that we need to incorporate from a support standpoint, we're hearing them, we're listening to them, and then we're also incorporating it into the next year's goals and philosophy. So we use it every day on the operational side of things. And back to your original question too, on the more or less is there any type of numbers that we can pull from it? It's hard to really kind of draw a direct correlation between the survey and sales revenue or whatever that is, but we have been able to see since we've been doing this survey that things are increasing. And so we could probably draw some correlations that we've been seeing our margins increasing every single year, our franchise satisfaction increases every year. And along with that just comes all this other ancillary things that make this system very, very, I guess, a positive system be within.
Yeah, well-rounded. It could be a way to
Well-rounded,
say
yes.
it. Yeah, and yeah, September 2020 was the last time we did the survey, and
Mhm.
of course that was even still now, but that was the last year has been difficult for many
Yeah.
people. For you guys, do you have a specific kind of success story that's come out of 2020?
Yeah, there's a lot that came out of 2020, and I kind of would draw it back to three things that we did. We over communicated, we showed a lot of empathy, and we also stayed very fluid through this last year. And so the over communication part really happened with all the CDC guidelines and also kind of with the PPP loans and all that type of stuff. So we were right before we took the survey, we were getting hit with COVID and the lockdowns, all that type of stuff. And in that type of year, we scored very high. And a lot of that came down to just how we communicated with our franchise partners. The PPP loan in general was very confusing, even for those people that were, supposed to be the go-to loan officers. And so we over communicated on a lot of that stuff so that they knew exactly who to go to if they wanted the loan and what was at stake when they did it. Um, we also did a lot of things like with we hold a Friday call every single week, and we have for I think the last 7 or 8 years. And so in that Friday call, just to give the franchisees a chance to listen to other people going through the same exact things that they are, to really listen and have that kind of sounding board, also helped a lot throughout that time. And then we were then able to stay pretty fluid with our virtual sales processes, coming out with new ways that we could help sell to our customers that still wanted our services, but were just a little bit more cautious about being in their homes. And so we came out with a lot of those types of things that, again, were just support services that we gave to our franchisees, which then were directly talked about in the annual survey that we do with them. So, and then throughout that year, then we did show an overall growth in overall sales. A lot of our franchisees came out pretty happy, and coming into this year, this industry is just booming right now.
Awesome. The
Hmm.
From the operational side to sort of the growth and recruitment strategies that you had, did you change how you approached bringing candidates on or marketing to potential owners?
It really there was a lot that had kind of happened just from a franchise development and then also from a COVID. So there was a lot of moving parts. We did have to kind of then start telling a little bit of the story about how COVID has impacted our business. We were fortunate to not have to be, forced to be locked down or shut down. We were deemed somewhat of an essential business. And so we did have to kind of tell that story about the industry. So things were educated on a little bit more differently, but we really kept hitting home on just the support, the type of value that we can provide, and then also just the fact that we're a small, flexible office that franchise satisfaction and our per unit metrics are number one to us, and so we really kind of kept hitting home on those types of things.
When you think about your culture, it seems very strong, obviously, with those
Yeah.
type of relationships and communication styles that you guys have. How else would you describe the culture and how you foster it among your employees, your
Yeah.
franchisees, in the leadership team?
Yeah, so part of our there's three of our core values are respect, integrity, and partnership, and it's so you can really sum all those words up to kind of family, and so unintentionally, I was more or less along the sides of like I saw Kitchen Solvers as more or less a team, and kind of that group type of setting, but when you take in those three different core values, you blend it in with us as at the home office, our personalities, the types of people that we're bringing into this. This is a family. It's an extension of their existing families that we can share all the same ideas. We've all been through the same battles, and it's really hard not to kind of come back and say this is that family type of atmosphere, and you can see it every time we get together at our Friday calls, conventions, everything else. It's inherently really just ingrained into us whether we like it or not. So this is who we are, and we're always going to be that large family that people can be a part of, and we'll keep going that way.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, well, we've certainly enjoyed partnering with you guys throughout the
Hmm.
years. Kind of want to wrap it up with just one question. If
Yeah.
you were talking to someone and they asked you why should they do business with FBR, what would you tell them?
I kind of throw it back at them and say, what are some things that you do to measure success? And they would probably give me those cliche answers of like, oh yeah, my sales volume, my profitability numbers are through the roof, and I'm like, well, are your franchisees happy? And they would say, yeah. I'm like, well, how would you know that they are happy or not? And so, show it to me, you quantify it. And most people can't do that. And if you can't quantify those things and you're not measuring those things, you need to be. And in this world where franchising is such a relationship type of business, why wouldn't you be really looking back at the number one thing that should be driving your business, which is franchise satisfaction? If people aren't happy in your system, you don't have anything to sell. And so if you're not measuring it, you need to be. And the FBR survey is a number one driver for all my decisions starting off at the beginning of the year, and that's also going forward for setting goals. It's always going to be part of it, and so I just kind of throw it back at them and see what they say.
Like
There's no
that.
reason not to.
Exactly. There really isn't. You should just do
No,
it, right? No, I
exactly.
appreciate that. And I do appreciate all your time today. So thank you so much. And I'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Thank you very much.